start with the MAC layer. I hope you all know what is MAC layer. I think one of my colleague gave introduction in the previous session, right? So let me continue with the same session. Can one of you tell me what is like which MAC layer comes under which part of with which part of OSI model can we relate this MAC layer? Like we are having L1, L2 and L3, right? In a OSI model, we are having physical layer, data link layer, and transport layer, network layer, session, presentation, and application layer. So where does this MAC layer exactly sit? Okay, fine, it sits in layer 2. Media access. What do you mean by media access? What do you mean by medium basically? What are the two types of medium? This was the first or second class, I guess, which I explained. Yeah, fine. What are the main kinds in the medium? So typically, the medium can be the it can be a wide medium or wireless medium. So when coming to the wireless medium, we'll be having air, right? Air, some even free space. Whenever we speak about, it can be optical fibers, cables, twisted pair cables, these kind of things. So basically, the medium will be mainly classified as wide medium and wireless medium. So whenever you say medium and multiple access in the sense multiple in the sense many users are trying to access the medium or media. So whenever we say media access or medium access or multiple access, everything is the same. Okay, since everyone is accessing the same medium, then then we'll be calling it as multiple access to the medium. Nothing but media access, multiple access, multiple users are accessing. Okay, so everything is the same. Media access, medium access, and multiple access are the same. Okay, so these are the things which we are going to discuss. What is SDMA, FDMA? I think when you know multiplexing, which I explained in the previous sessions, you can easily correlate with the multiple access because the underlying principle will be same for multiple access. Like if you take TDMA and FDMA, the underlying principle will be same for multiplexing and multiple access. Okay, like how users are allocated, those things will be the same. In multiplexing, we'll be saying like it can be one user, but one user is allocated with different channels, different slots. So here whenever we say multiple access, multiple users are allocated with different slots. Okay, so these are the things. SDMA, FDMA, TDMA, and Aloha. What is Aloha and what are the reservation schemes, and what are basically the like algorithms, and what are the access techniques which are present in MAC layer. How like collision is avoided and how collision happens, what are the possibilities for collision, and what is CDMA, what is SAMA, these things, and what are the comparison between different multiple access techniques, with which multiple access techniques will be having what data rates, these things we'll be discussing, what is polling, these things. Okay, yeah. You can download the PPT once the session is done. I'll enable that option once the session is done. Okay, fine. So why we are going to this methods? So first, can we apply media access techniques for fixed networks? Of course, right. For LAN cables, when like LAN is some wide network, for that we'll be able to apply some access techniques. That is nothing but this CSMA will be one example will be CSMA CD. CSMA is nothing but carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. Okay, what is carrier sensing and how it is sensing the carrier, and how collision are, these things we'll be seeing now. And example is this, and send as soon as medium is free, listen into the medium if a collision occurs. So what happens is whenever you want to send something into the medium, so you'll be checking like there can be chances like many users are there. So suppose both the users are transmitting to the same person. Suppose we have A, B, C. I think we have in the next slide. Suppose three users are transmitting to one user. then there can be possibility that collision may occur. If they use same frequency and same time slot, then there be chances that the collision may occur. So how it is detecting that collisions and how we are avoiding that collision. In CSMA by CD, how it is, what are the problems and why we came to CSMA collision avoidance, these things we'll be seeing. What are the problems in wireless networks? First we'll see with this. First see what are the problems in wireless networks. So whenever we speak about wireless networks, whenever something is transmitted, like whenever some signal is transmitted, it will be faded based on distance, right? So suppose you have one mobile and one mobile station, sorry, one mobile and one base station. If the mobile is close to the base station, then he'll be receiving signals, right? But whenever he's like he's having good signal strength, who is near to the base station will be having good signal strength when compared to the mobile station which is far from the base station, right? Because the power will be decreased, like as the distance increases, power will be decreased. Like even the light also you can even tube lights or lights, as the distance increases, the power of the light or the power decreases, right? The luminosity or the light it scatters also decreases. So the same thing applies as the signal, like signal strength decreases proportional to square of distance. Okay, this is the relation between the signal strength and the distance. Okay, then the sender would apply CS and CD, but the collisions happens at the receiver. Even though while sending the signals, you may take care like you may avoid the collisions by sending. Whenever one sender is sending, you may avoid, you may check for the channel. When it is free, then only you may send the channel. By that way, you are avoiding the collisions. But you can't check the same thing at the receiver side, right? If A and C are sending to B, then B is the one which is receiving the both signals. Then when receiving the signals at the same time with same frequencies, then there may be possibility that the collision may occur at B. So when sending, you may apply many techniques like for avoiding collision, but at receiver you can't apply those techniques, right? So the sender would apply CS, collision sensing and collision detection, but the collisions happens at receiver. Collision may happen at the receiver. There are many chances that the collision happens at receiver. We'll see these cases, and it might be case that a sender cannot hear the collision. Yeah, maybe he can't sense the collision sometimes. This can be one of the case. Collision detection does not work when both of the senders, like sender A and sender B, will try to send the signal, and then there may be possibilities of the collision. Furthermore, CS might not work. Terminal is hidden. When the terminal is hidden, like when you are having some terminal which is hidden, so because of that some interference may happen. Is it clear or am I going fast? Actually, it was late, right? Okay, so what are the problems basically? Hidden and exposed problems. What do you mean by hidden problem and what do you mean by exposed problem? Hidden problem in the sense one terminal is getting hidden. So like why it is getting hidden? Suppose if you see here in the picture in the PPT, A is sending to B. Suppose we are having three terminals A, B and C. So whenever you are transmitting some signal, that will be an electromagnetic radiation, right? In wireless you will be if you are transmitting some signal, it will be an electromagnetic signal which is broadcasted via antenna. So these circles, these blue circles are the coverage area of the A. These are the radiation patterns of A. So A signal will be broadcasted only till this certain distance where the radiation pattern is. So these are the signals of A, and when coming to this red one is the coverage area of the B terminal, and this green is the coverage area of the C terminal. So we are having three terminals, and the coverage area of B is interfered by coverage area of A and C. This is the case like if you have suppose there is no interference, like suppose if there is no common area between A and B, then this problem may not occur. But we can't say like that. When you want to hand over or when there is congestion, like the tower, like the mobile will be handed over. So when let us take this case. So we are having three coverage areas. B coverage area is interfered by A and C. Now A is sending to B. A is sending some message to B, and C cannot receive this. right? Because C is hidden from A. A can only be known to B. B knows A and C, but A knows only B. And similarly, C knows only B. So A sends to B. C cannot receive A. C wants to send to B. C sends as a free medium. Only the simple thing is A and C, like A is not known to C and C is not known to A. So without knowing each other, they are trying to send signals to B. So because of that, A is trying to send the signal and C is also trying to send the signal. What happens at the receiver when B receives the signal? Since they both are sending at the same time, when B is receiving and it is also receiving the signals from C, how can it receive the both the signals? Like this, we are talking about GSM, right? In GSM we are not having MIMO. MIMO is nothing but multiple input and multiple output. When we say MIMO, it is nothing but we have, like, it's not one transceiver, like only not one transmitter and one receiver. We will be having multiple trans and multiple receivers. If that is the case, we can avoid this. But in GSM we don't have such cases. We have only one transceiver. So here B can't receive the both signals because B is receiving the signals of A and C. So interference occurs. Right? There are chances of losing the entire signal because both are of same frequency. Both gets collided and both get superimposed. Or if the signal is signal A and B, C are out of phase. One is in out of phase and one is in phase. Then both gets cancelled out each other. So these, because of this, interference occurs and we can't, that like the B can't receive the signal from either A or C. This is the hidden terminal, right? Since A is not sensing and C is not sensing A, we are facing this problem. So this is called as hidden terminal. And when coming to the next case, nothing but exposed terminal. Are you getting? Are you clear of hidden terminals? Is the pace okay? Please do respond. Yeah, fine. When we'll go with exposed terminals. When we say exposed terminals, B sends to, here we'll be taking the following case. B sends to A and C wants to send to another terminal. Suppose the simple case here, what is like B is trying to send to A and C wants to send to some other terminal. When B is trying to send to A, like C wants to send to another terminal, not A or B. It is not either A nor B. So C has to wait. C will detect for C will see the B. When C is seeing the B, it will think that something, it is like A and B are transmitting something, like there's some packet is getting delivered between them. So C is waiting for long time. Here exposed in the sense all the terminals are exposed to everything. Here in the two thing, C is hidden from A and A is hidden from C. But when we talk about exposed terminals, when the coverage area, see here blue, uh, if it take like coverage area of A is also matching with the coverage area of C. Some coverage area, not the entire thing, maybe the end parts of the cell edge users are matching, like edge coverage area may be matching with C. In that cases, A is not hidden from C and C is not hidden from A. Then what happens is A is trying to send to B. So then C checks for the channel if the channel is free or not. Then C detects that no, the channel for B is not free since B is sending to A. Then what it will do, it has to wait. Even though C has to send to some other terminal, it has to wait for this transmission between A and B to, this is unnecessary of waiting, right? Since the it will only detect here channel is not free. So what it will do, it will wait, but which is unnecessary since it is transmitting. Suppose we have another terminal D, then C can transmit to D. There is no possibility of interference or collision between them, right? So this is nothing but exposed problem. It is unnecessarily waiting till the channel is free. Since it is visible, it is unnecessarily waiting. The same thing, B sends to A, B is sending to A, it may be sub D. C has to wait. Carrier sensing signals as a medium in use. Since the medium is in use between A and B, it senses that A and B are transmitting something and then it will wait for certain time, which is unnecessary. Yeah, that's it. This is the hidden and exposed terminals. Hope you are clear. If you have any doubts, you can get back to me. And other thing is near and far terminals. Near terminal in the sense, as I explained, whenever the mobile station is near to base station, it will be having more power. And whenever that is far from the base station, then that mobile station will be receiving less signals and less power. So and suppose there are two mobiles near the base, one is near the base station and one is far to the base station, and both are of using same frequencies. Then what happens? Base station has transmitted some signal to cell edge user. In the sense, maybe mobile station B is at edge, right? So it is transmitting to mobile station B. Then what happens whenever you are transmitting that signal? Is that signal. Sorry, not cell edge, which is near to the base station. Mobile A uses that signal, and interference also may happen, and only a part of signal may reach the mobile station B. Not the entire part will reach. This is nothing but near far effect. Since you have terminals in between, and you are transmitting with some power, that since they are of same frequency, both may get collided, and the power reaching the B may also decrease, and it may also be interfered by the uh, mobile station A. Mobile station A is also transmitting some signals. Base station is also transmitting some signals. Then if both the frequencies matches, then the signal transmitted to mobile station B will be some interfered signal, obviously, right? Same thing. Terminals A, B, and C receives. A and B are sending, C is receiving. So signal strength decreases proportional to square of distance. This thing, same thing, power decreases as the square of distance. And the signal of terminal B therefore drowns out A's signal. Actually, A is trying to send to B, A is trying to send to C, and B is also trying to send to C. When A is trying to send to C, terminal B therefore drowns out A's signal. In the sense, it fades the signal of A. So the signal reaching C will be an interfered signal. Okay, C cannot receive the A, right? It will receive B signal, or it will receive some interfered signal, but it can't receive A signal since A signal is taken up by B in between. Okay. Uh, if C, for example, was an orbit, this problem is mainly in CDMA networks. So for this purpose, what can you think is the possible solution for this? Since we are talking about power, whenever you are transmitting with the same power to user which is near to the base station and which is near, whenever you transmit with less power to the mobile station which is near to the base station, and you're transmitting with more power to the cell edge user, then that can be one of the solution for this, right? Whenever since you are transmitting with same power, it is drawn by uh, B signal, and it is drawn by mobile station A, and it is not reaching the mobile station B. So some power adjustments should be made so that this thing will be avoided in CDMA networks. This problem is mainly seen in CDMA network. Okay. So this is near far problems. As the distance increases, the signal fades and it is unable to receive the signal, and if any some in between carrier in between terminal may drown the of source reaching from destination. So what are the different access methods? As I told, TDMA, FDMA, and SDMA are the major multiple access techniques used here in GSM. Now we are having many access techniques. Whenever we talk about 4G, we are having OFDMA and SCFDMA. OFDMA in the downlink, and SCFDMA in the uplink. I'll tell you what is OFDMA and how it works. And when talking about 5G, we are now in 5G we are having many things like millimeter wave and FBMC that are out of scope, UFMC. There are many other things which came into the picture. Like for every generation, some in order to increase the data rate and in order to increase the round trip time, in the sense whenever like so A is transmitting to B and B sends the response to this. This is called as round trip time. Sending and receiving. Total time is called as this time. In order to decrease the latency, many things and many multiple access are coming into the picture. These are some of the multiple access techniques which are present in the 2G. That is nothing but GSM. First thing is space division multiple access. What do you mean by space division multiple access? The name itself is suggesting space is getting divided among multiple users. So how can, like, whenever I talk space, it is nothing but the coverage area. So in the previous like in old days, whenever we speak about GSM, there will be like omnidirectional antennas in the sense in 360 degrees we'll be having antenna, and that antenna will be transmitting the signals in all the directions. But in a GSM we are having one thing like timing advance. Hope you remember what is timing advance. Like in order to maintain the synchronization between mobile station and base station, we'll be having timing advance. Like you be sending some signal and ENOTB doesn't know when to receive it. So for that, what ENOTB will tell is like you transmit me at this time, so that I'll be receiving. I'll not be busy with some other things, and I'll be receiving this signal. Like there is some synchronization established between them. That is nothing but timing advance command. It will, we will be sending advance command to UV telling the transmit at this time, so that I'll be listening. So that time is mentioned in that timing advance command. So because of this, ENOTB knows where the UV is. It can track like where the UV is, and it knows where that lies and what is the distance, and these things will be uh, will will be known by base station. If we take in 4G and 5G, there are many other things. They are tracking everything, and they are taking the position, power, these things, and then they are based on that they are using the antenna type. Suppose you know where the position is, then there is no use of using omnidirectional antenna, right? Since your user is in some direction, then no point of using omnidirectional antenna. If you use that, you are radiating the power, which is wastage of power. You are radiating the power in all the directions. That is a wastage of power. And the UV also, the mobile user also receive the signal, but with less power it will be receiving the signal. So there is more wastage of power. But whenever we have directed antennas, like whenever you know the where UV lies, you'll be focusing the antenna only in that direction, so that unnecessary transmissions in all the directions is avoided, and you mobile station also receives the signal with some good amount of power, right? So in this way, power is your mobile station. You will be having in mobile station, in the sense mobile, in your mobile you will be having battery. Even that doesn't get drained, right? Whenever it is transmitted in with less power, you will try to uh, that UV will be that mobile station will be decoding, and you will be receiving the signal with less power. But whenever you are receiving with more power, uh, your UV, the battery drain will also be less. So this is space division. Like since you are dividing the coverage area into sectors, like if it is 360 degrees, we will be calling it as omnidirectional. And if it is, you can make the sectors like it can be 3 sectors, and it can be 6 sectors. It can be any number of sectors depending on the coverage area. And suppose in forest area, maybe in forest area, suppose there is some, near to that there is some small village, and you used omnidirectional antenna, which doesn't serve your purpose, right? Since the village will be pointed some direction, and you are pointing your antenna, you are using omnidirectional antenna which is radiated in throughout the forest along with that village. So that is not necessary. So for that purpose we'll be having sectorization. So what you will do is, in sectorization, depending on the density of people, depending on the coverage area of that village, you will be doing the sector, and you will be using the directed antenna, beam forming antenna. There are different types of antennas, right? Depending on the density of people and depending on the user position, you will be using this different antennas. So we can make into 3 sectors. If it is sectors, each will be of 120 degrees, right? If it is 6 sectors, 360 divided by 6. If it is 9, like suppose in some like in urban areas, in shopping malls, if the density of people is more, in that place you can make you can divide the sectorization concept of 12. Like you can divide the 360 degrees into by 12, and whatever that comes, that will be pointed only in that direction, because the density or the more users are present at that location. So you'll be using narrow beam forming antenna, okay, narrow width antenna. So that is the concept of space division multiple access. Here we are having sectors, and I use directed antennas and cell structure. You know what is cell and how the cell structure will be, right? And the other thing will be FDMA. FDMA is nothing but frequency division multiple access. Here we are dividing the frequency, and same thing which in free, frequency division multiplexing. So you'll be having one frequency for uplink, and one frequency, like pair of frequencies, one frequency for uplink and one frequency for downlink. And you'll be using those pair of frequencies. Like frequency pair is allocated to one particular user, whereas in TDMA you're having only one frequency, but that one frequency is shared between multiple users based on time slots. In like first user may be allocated one slot, and second user may be allocated with two slots. These kind of things. I think you are all are now aware of what is TDMA and FDMA. In FDMA, assign a certain frequency to transmission channel between a sender and receiver, and permanent, like frequency hopping in the sense, hopping is nothing but up and downs. Like whenever you have different frequencies, then we will be calling it as frequency hopping. Instead of one frequency, we are having like we are changing the frequencies, carrier frequencies. If we are changing the carrier frequency slowly, then it is called a slow hop. Like good rate, then it is called as high frequency or fast frequency hopping. So this frequency hopping technique will also be used. This one is fixed thing, nothing but fixed FDMA, and the other thing will be frequency hopping spread spectrum. This for in order to hop this carrier frequencies, we'll be using some code word, sequence code word will be used. With the help of that, we'll be hopping these carrier frequencies. Okay. Yeah, this is time division multiplexing. You know that the multiplexing schemes presented in chapter 2 are now used for this thing. Yeah, these are the some of the bandwidths which are used in GSM. There is nothing. And when coming to TDMA, here is the different slots, and see slot 1 to 12 is allocated for downlink, and 1 to 12 is up. I mean the other slots will be allocated for uplink. And this is Aloha and slotted Aloha. So let me show you one picture. Sorry, I guess it is not there here. Okay, maybe I'll show you that like how this Aloha and slotted Aloha comes under time division multiple access. Like which thing we'll be talking now about many things, and in these things which comes under which technique, like which access technique, whether it comes under TDMA or FDMA. Like these things I have a chat. I'll show you that in the next session. Okay. When coming to Aloha, this is part of TDMA, and in Aloha and slotted Aloha, what we'll be having is like you'll be sender, we'll be having sender which who will be sending in he'll be sending the signals in random. He'll be sending the data randomly. Suppose A sends the data and B sends the data randomly, then there may be chances of collision, right? The same thing. Random distributed time multiplex. Here we are using time multiplex. Since we are dividing the time, and we are dividing the time is shared between multiple users, it is called as time multiplexing. Okay. And random, since we are sending the signals or sending the data randomly, it is called as random. And distributed, no central arbiter, like in order to monitor, there is nothing is there here. And here if you see the example, here we are having three senders in Aloha: sender A, sender B, and sender C. So sender these portions which are in sky blue color are the portions which are sent by sender A. Okay. So sender B is also sending the signals. It is also willing to transmit some data to some other person. Whenever it is transmitting the data, so it is also taking some random time to transmit the data. So here there are chances of collision, right? See, if you see this, here we are having here sender A is getting started by the time sender B is not completing its transmission. So here collision may occurs. Even if you take sender C is like sender B and sender C are almost trying to send at the same time. So here collision happens. And if you see here also sender A is colliding with sender C. Both are sender C is already sending without sensing that sender A started sending some signals. So because of this, sender A messages and sender C messages collided. Okay, so this is like this. Since we are sending, since different senders, simple thing in Aloha, since different senders are sending at different times randomly, whenever they have some data they are sending. So because of that, different senders data may get collided, right? The same thing. And whenever we coming to slotted Aloha, here in Aloha they the conclusion is like whenever somebody is sending, like there can be the edges are getting overlapped sometimes. So because of that they went to slotted Aloha. By the time B is ending, then C is getting started. Some cases like that. So what they maintained is they maintained some slot timing. There should be some fixed slot. Whenever this slot is whenever something like whenever some signal is sent by some user or some mobile station, then it should send only this particular slot. So we define some sharp edges between the sending thing and sharp time slots for the for sending and for sending the signals. Like in TDMA we are having different slots, right? 8 slots, like same thing is done in slotted Aloha. Slotted Aloha additionally uses time slots. Sending must always start at the slot boundaries. Since we in Aloha we face some issues because of slots, then here we have some fixed slots. So whenever someone sends, he has to send only in that slot boundary. He can't, even though if he has data, he can't send the data in the out of boundary. Only whenever it is allocated, when one slot is allocated to him, only in that slot he has to send the data. Until he's assigned with another slot, he shouldn't send data and he has to wait. Okay, in slotted Aloha, here sender A is sending, which is represented with sky color, and sender B with yellow color and sender C with green color. So what is happening here, we are having slot boundaries. This is represented by vertical lines. You can see in the image. So here whenever but they can send it randomly but at different slots. So here slot boundaries are fixed. So whenever here there is possibility that B and C are getting collided. A has completed its transmission and B started at the same time C also started. So there is collision occurring. Same thing. A started, but by the time C is already sending, because of that collision occurred. So this is what Aloha and slotted Aloha is. Simple thing is randomly sending is nothing but Aloha and slotted Aloha. But in Aloha you don't have slots. So there can be possibilities like whenever someone ends, the other person may start. So here it is not the case. If something got interfered, the full signal will be interfered in slotted Aloha. Not the some part of signal interference is not there. Whereas in Aloha it can be some part of signal. But in slotted Aloha it is the entire, maybe the entire signal or the maybe some half part of the signal, like what the slot carries. Entire slot can be but not a part of slot. You are clear, right? The difference between Aloha and slotted Aloha. So the next thing is demand assigned multiple access. What is demand assigned multiple access in the sense? In Aloha, since you are sending this, but there can be collision. So because of that, the efficiency and the channel utilized will be only 80%, 18%. Whereas in slotted Aloha, it is 36%. Right, since you are making it to slots and you are assigning to different users, then it is the some more thing, like some more resources or some more frequency band you are using. Some channel efficiency is increased in slotted Aloha. Then reservation can never reservation in the sense will be reserving the slots in before whenever we use this reservation. No slides are not visible. I didn't get you. Okay, fine. Yeah, it's in 9th slide. So yeah, I'm speaking about DAMA only. This is visible, right? Yeah, okay, fine. I'll be continuing. So in demand assigned multiple access, whenever we use reservation scheme, the efficiency or the you want to send something, you'll be reserving the future slot. Like this sender A reserves sender B. Like how many senders are there, they'll be reserving the slot. But the only possibility is even when you are reserving the slot, both of them may try to reserve the same slot at the same time. For this, for reserving purpose, for whenever you are trying to reserve a slot, then collisions may occur. Okay, other than that, since you reserving the slot, there may, whenever you are transmitting data, there can't be any interference, right? Since you are if sender A allocated some channel, then only sender A is full of sending, that will be logged for other users, since they'll be having this reservation list. Like simple cases, your train, whenever you are reserving, when one seat is allocated to some other person, that will be blocked, right? So other seats only, like it will be showing all the other seats other than the seat which are blocked. The same thing applies here. So whenever you have reservation, whenever, like you will be allocating the reservation, like you will be booking the reservation in advance, and that slot will be only allocated to you. So because of that, collisions may not occur while sending the data, but collisions may occur when booking the slot. Because suppose same person is booking, two persons are booking the slot at the same time for the same thing. One can have the success thing, but the other may have the failure thing. By the time his booking is done, some other person, like because of his bandwidth or of his thing, because he may started a little seconds ago, because of that he allocated with the reservation slot, but the second person is not allocated. So this time collision may occurs, right? Whenever you are reserving the slot, collision may occurs. So here a sender reserves a future slot. Sending within this reserved time slot is possible without collision, right? When since you are reserving and trying to send the data, there is no collision for while to send, you'll be directly sending. But here you have to wait for certain amount of time till your time comes where you reserve the slot, and then only you will be sending the data. Because of this, delays will come into the picture. And typical scheme for satellite links, uh, examples will be explicit reservation. These are some of the types of reservation schemes: explicit reservation and implicit reservation and reservation TDMA. These are the three examples which will come under reservation algorithms. And when we talk about explicit reservation, here we are having two modes. One is allow for reservation. Competition for small reservation slots, collisions possible. Whenever you are reserving the slot, there may be collisions. Right, the same thing. Aloha mode of reservation. If you are telling aloha mode of reservation, if you see the picture here, we are having three slots. These slots are for only the slots which are having less time interval are only for reservation purpose. You are having reservation for some bigger slot. Okay. Mm. So these are for reservation, and this reserved, which is under reserved category, this is actually the book slots. Here you can only transmit, here only you can transmit the data. These are only for booking the slots. The small bit narrow one is nothing but for booking the slots. For booking, for transmitting data, you are booking the slots, and the wide one which has more milliseconds will be the one where you are exactly sending the data. Here when you take three senders, suppose the green one is one sender and yellow one is one sender and gray is the other sender. Here green is booking, and the all the three persons are reserving the slots, and here there is no reserve, like they reserved perfectly, and there is no collision occurred, like both of three of them reserved at different times and different resources. So because of that, they got in the first thing, they got different slots booked, and the data transmission has no collisions. Whenever you see in the second case, like in the second signal in the second pulses, here you are having, um, green one, and here he booked one slot and this is reserved, and here whenever you are booking the slots, the collision may occur. Here the collision occurred between the green and here the gray thing, right? So whenever you are booking the tickets, like whenever you are booking for the slots, whenever you are reserving, the collision may occur, but whenever you are transmitting the data, collision won't occur because it will be allocated only to a one person. That can be based on the priority and based on the initiation, who initiated first, or based on the bandwidth, these kind of things. Okay. So this is Aloha mode for reservation, reserved mode for data transmission with successful reserved slots. So your data will be transmitted successfully, but the delay will more in this explicit reservation, right? It is important for all stations to keep the reservation list consistent at any point in the time, and therefore all the stations have to synchronize from time to time. So if they don't have reservation list, if all the base stations doesn't have reservation list, don't have reservation list, there is possibility that you will be booking the already booked one, right? So there should be some synchronization established between mobile stations and base stations, and also all the stations should also have this reservation list. Like time to time synchronization should be maintained here. So I think you are clear of differences between Aloha, slotted Aloha, and in explicit reservation. So the other thing is implicit reservation. What is implicit reservation? Here what we'll be doing is, here also you will be booking the slots in advance, only you will be booking the slots, but once you book the slots, that will be carried in the entire frame. Like if you see here, you are having A, C, D, A, B, A and empty slot followed by F. So A will be followed in all the other frames. Okay, once A is allocated with one time slot, in the following frames also A is allocated with first slot. So B can't be allocated in the first slot. And same thing, if C is allocated in the second slot, in all the other frames, C is allocated the same slot. So whenever you are having some free free slot, then everyone will be trying to book that free thing, and because of that collision occurs. Suppose we can take a, like you are trying to book a ticket, and once you plan to travel for weekdays, complete 1 week, and then you booked for one day, then the following 6 days will also be allocated to you with that slot, something like that, correlate with that. Following 6 days will also be allocated the same block to you. But whenever something is, suppose some slot is not booked, some seat is not booked, then everyone will try to book the same thing, and everyone will try to block that. So because of that, collisions occurs. Okay. Here in implicit reservation, a certain number of slots form a frame. Frames are repeated. You know, right? What is frame? Whenever you transmit something, you will be transmitting in the like I told, what is frame, burst, and these things. And in one frame you will be having different slots. So whenever you transmit something, you will be transmitting in terms of frames. Okay. So whenever these frames will be repeated, obviously whenever time for 1 millisecond, it depends, like 1 frame can be for, in LTE it will be, in 4G it will be for 10 milliseconds 1 frame. So based on the frame timing, for every millisecond we need to, depends on the timing, we have to transmit the frames. So these frames are repeated. Stations compete for empty slots according to slotted Aloha principle. The same slotted Aloha principle comes into the picture, but here you are trying to reserve the slot. So stations compete for empty slots. So here if you see that red one, collision at reservation attempts. So here you are getting collided. And once a station reserves a slot successfully, this slot is automatically assigned to this station in all the following frames, as long as the station has to send the data. The same thing, like in that example, in the following 6 days also he is allocated with the same seat. Similar to that, once he is allocated in one frame, if he is allocated one slot, in all the other slots, till how much time he is sending the data, in that time you will be having some suppose n number of frames. In that n number of frames, in first frame what slot he is allocated, in the remaining frames also he is allocated with the same slot. and competition for this slot starts again as soon as slot was empty in the last frame. Once he is done with his sending of data, then that slot will become free, and again for that slot that competition may occur and their collision may happen. But while sending data it doesn't happen. Okay. This is implicit reservation. That is explicit, and here you are having fixed. The main difference will be this, in all the remaining frames also that slot is fixed. This is the main difference between explicit and implicit reservation. And reservation TDMA. What is reservation TDMA? Reservation TDMA, here what you are having is, you'll be having some slots. Suppose in here every frame consists of n mini slots and x data slots. Okay, n mini slots in the sense this mini slots are for booking the reservation, and x data slots are for actual sending the data. So what is the relation between this x and n is, every station has its own mini slot. So how many stations you have, for those many stations you will be having one mini slot assigned. So, and can reserve up to 10k data slots. So each mobile, suppose one station you are taking, each one that one station can book its reservation in that using that mini slot. So if you are having 10 mini if you are having two stations, suppose that two stations has two mini slots, and for one mini slot you will be allocated with k data slots. So if you are having two mini slots for two users, in total you will be having 2 into k data slots, right? So other stations can send data in unused data slots according to round robin scheme. What is round robin scheme, right? So it will be in circular thing. Once it is served, it will go again till the end slot it will be going, and it will be again coming to the first slot. This is nothing but round robin. You will be having different algorithms. Anyway, here the used one is round robin for unused data slots. When the data slots are used, this is fixed. But whenever the unused data slots are there, then that will take round robin algorithm. Here, if you take, we are having n mini slots in the sense n users, n senders. Okay, each mini slot is allocated with one sender, and the sender can reserve only in here. We are also allocated the time reservation also. Even while booking also, if some person is booking at one time, the other person can't book at the same time. This thing is followed in reservation TDMA. Even the booking time is also different from person to person. There the booking time, all of them can book at the same time. So because of that, collision occurs. Here booking collision doesn't occur. You're getting the difference, right? The main difference. While booking there can be collision, but here there can't be any collision because everyone is allocated for, even for booking the tickets, or even for booking the slots, or even for booking the slots for sending data, you are allocated different uh, mini slots. So when sender A may use the first mini slot for booking reservation, then sender C uses the second mini slot for booking the tickets. He can't use this slot A, right? So even for booking tickets, here the slots are assigned. Here we are having n mini slots and reserve. So what are the possible things? We are having 6 users. Suppose that one user is allocated with k data slots, right? So here suppose k is 2. Audio is not clear. What about the other people? Are you able to hear me? Is it audible? Yeah, I think there is problem with you. The other people are able to hear me. So please do check your things. Okay, fine. So here you are allocated with n mini slots, and suppose since each mini slot is allocated with 2 data slots, so we are having 6 users into 2. So we are totally having 12 slots, 12 data slots, two for 6 users, each allocated with 2 data slots. So in total we are having 12 data slots. So these red things are the mini slots, n mini slots, and followed by this you are having n into k data slots, nothing but 6 into 2, 12 slots you are having, right? So here the things the person may have, like the person A, suppose 2 persons, you are here you are having 6 users, but suppose there are 2 users. So one user may have only small amount of data to send, but the second user may have large amount of data to send, but it doesn't take into consideration the amount of data. It will only simply assign the slots, fixed number of slots to all the users. So this will be a wastage of bandwidth, right? So since suppose that person A has only, he has data which can be transmitted in only in one slot. One slot is enough for him to transmit the data. Even then he is allocated with 2 slots. So because of this, another slot will be wasted for him. So because of this is not an effective thing. So here the person A is using only slot 1 and the other slot is free. So this slot is used by some other stations based on the round robin algorithm. Here if you take the second person, he is completely using slots. When you take third person, he is not at all using the slots. See, the third two are white spaces. Whenever you take the fourth person, even the fourth person is using only one slot, and the next slot he is not using. Fifth person is completely using, and also the sixth person is also completely using the slots. So here we are having these white spaces which are shown in the PPT, which are shown in the slide, are the unused spaces. Even though they are allocated for some users, they are unused. So the other stations can use this free slots based on the round robin scheme. They use the round robin scheme and they will be using these slots. Okay. So the next thing is collision avoidance, how the collision is avoided. Okay. Till I think it's already 10:35, right? Are you clear what is implicit reservation, what is reservation, what is TDMA, FDMA, HDMA? Are you clear, or are there any doubts? So the basic difference, you are getting one thing to other thing. Okay, fine. Aloha, slotted aloha. Okay, fine. And the next thing, maybe in the next session, I'll be covering. Yeah, okay, fine. In the next session, covering like what is collision detection and collision avoidance. I think you came to know how it is and how the problems are avoided. In that I'll be telling you, and CDMA I'll be covering, and polling mechanisms I'll be covering. If I'm left, maybe the next session will be the last session for me. I'll see if I am left with some other topics, if I missed out any topics, like I missed GPRS and DECT, I missed these things. I'll be covering in the next sessions. I'll be covering these things along with that things. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask me in the next session. I think in coming Tuesday. Okay, and contact your coordinator. Yeah, I'll enable the downloading option here. Yeah, and I enabled the option. You can download the PPT. So if you have any doubts, you can mail me at any time. Okay. Okay, I'm winding up the session for today. Have a nice day.